Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Tobit, the second chapter. Now when I was come home again, and my wife Anna was restored unto me with my son Tobias in the feast of Pentecost, which is the holy feast of the 7 weeks, there was a good dinner prepared me, in the which I sat down to eat. And when I saw abundance of meat, I said to my son, Go and bring what poor man soever thou shalt find out of our brethren. So any misfortunate poor Israelites, go and invite them, bring them. There's a lot of food here. Who is mindful of the Lord? And lo, I tarry for thee. So not just any demon, but those that fear God. But he came again and said, Father, one of our nation is strangled and is cast out in the marketplace. See the kind of things we had to suffer, right? Because we were low class, being that we were captives in the land of a foreign nation. Then before I had tasted of any meat, I started up and took him up into a room until the going down of the sun. So he basically went there. He took the dead body to this here is like some private area, some like shed or somewhere, just to take the body out of just the open like that. As he says, until the sun went down. Then I returned and washed myself and ate my meat in heaviness, remembering, meaning that he was troubled, right? He was saddened, remembering that prophecy of Amos, which he said, or as he said, your feasts shall be turned into mourning and all your mirth into lamentation. So remember that Amos was a prophet from the southern kingdom who the Lord sent to prophesy to the northern kingdom. And he did prophesy prior to Tiglath-Pileser even coming up over there and deporting Israel. So at the time, remember that Tobit says that he was one of those that took heed to the words of the Lord. So hearing, he heard Amos prophesying, he was one of those that actually listened. And so here in captivity, he's saying he recalls, right, the words of Amos. And he even mentioned, or he mentions the words of Jonah. So he was one that listened to the prophets, okay, when they prophesied to Israel. Therefore I wept, and after the going down of the sun, I went and made a grave and buried him. But my neighbors mocked me and said, This man is not yet afraid to be put to death for this matter, who fled away, and yet, lo, he burieth the dead again. So they're like, yo, this guy must want to die. You know, weren't they just trying to kill him for burying dead bodies? And now he's back at it again? The same night I returned from the burial and slept by the wall of my courtyard, so in the outer court of his house, being polluted, and my face was uncovered. So because he had buried a dead body, he didn't want to go within, right? He stayed outside since he would be considered unclean. So as he lay there, he says here, and I knew not that there were sparrows in the wall. So he didn't notice there were some birds up there on that wall. And mine eyes being open, probably looking up at the skies, and those sparrows looked down and said, well, shit, let me let one on you. The sparrows muted warm dung into his eyes, so they let it rip, right? And lo and behold, it couldn't find anywhere else to land but right into his eyeballs. Wham! And a whiteness came in my eyes, and I went to the physicians, but they helped me not. Moreover, Achaicurus did nourish me until I went on to Elimaeus. So he basically lost his sight. He became blind. And he went to, the physicians to try and get help, but they couldn't help him. They basically like there's nothing they could do to cure it, right? To heal him of it. And so all that time, since he couldn't really do his job, he's saying that Achaicurus did, provided, took care of him, and so on. Verse 11, and my wife Anna did take women's work to do, so she ended up having to work now. And this was likely like sewing, right? Making garments or clothing, or even mending ripped clothing and garments. And when she had sent them home to the owners, they paid her wages and gave her also besides a kid. So when let's say they would send her, hey, my thing is ripped. Can you fix it for me? Like today, you go to the dry cleaners, right? or you go to a tailor and say, hey, can you like make this suit smaller or whatever the case is. So when she would fix it and then take it back to them, as it says, they paid her her amount, and they gave her also, besides a kid. So in addition, they gave her a goat as a kid, a baby goat. And when it was in my house and began to cry, I said unto her, from whence is this kid? Because remember, he's blind, but he hears this goat bleeding, right? Like making the goat sounds. And he's like, where'd you get a goat? He said, is it not stolen? So he basically assumed that it was stolen. She probably saw it out there and she just took it. It is, he said, render it to the owners, for it is not lawful to eat anything that is stolen. But she replied upon me, it was given for a gift more than the wages. So no, they gave it to me as a bonus, in addition to what I was paid. Howbeit I did not believe her, but bade her render it to the owners. And I was abashed at her. So basically he was like, nope, you got to take that back to them. And he was abashed, is like to be, when you blush out of embarrassment, kind of like that, right? He was kind of embarrassed, like, because he accused her and he's thinking that this is what she did. And he's kind of like embarrassed or ashamed that, damn, like why would you steal a goat? But she replied upon me, where are thine alms and thy righteous deeds? Behold, thou and all thy works are known. So she's like, and this was basically her snapping back, right? Like, look, all you saying this, that, and the third, right? With, being Mr. Holy and Mr. Righteous and all that. Where's all that now? We're poor. You're not working. We're living off of my wages. And now I get a bonus and you accusing me of stealing it, right? So what did all that good do you now? And that brings us to the end of the book of Tobit, the 2nd chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kudash. And until next time, Shalom.